Everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis. Wanted to talk about Blood of Ares, really tough decision that I have to make and that everybody probably has to make. So I am in, where am I? Oh, I'm like 15th place, but I have a lot of Blood of Ares to use. I'm going to show you it for a minute, 9,300. So I'm going to move up in the rankings, but I'm spacing my Blood of Ares out because I'm not coining anymore. So I want to do well in the events for as long as I can without spending too much. After SVS ends, very important announcement right here before we get to the tough decision that we all have to make. Aptoide will be having VIP codes again, so you will get an extra 5% on your coining. You also can still download Aptoide. You could still use it. Go into the Aptoide Discord, go into friendly Discords. There's instructions how to do it. They've changed how they use the Aptoide codes or the VIP codes, how they release them. So they're all launching on April 1st. That's why there hasn't been any. It's not because it doesn't work anymore. So if you've been thinking of doing some coining, hold off till after SVS. The minute it ends, the codes launch. Now, the tough decision that people have to make comes down to, what should you do? Subordinate city general or duty officer? Like, obviously, you're going to do your PvP generals first. Everybody knows that. But now what? Sub-city debuff or in-city buffs? What's more important? So one thing to keep in mind is you can get reinforcements that sort of act as buffs, right? People can give you good troops, so you can always add more troops. You can't add more debuffs. So the first thing I'm going to say that is really important is key debuffs that you can cap, okay? So if you can maximize the debuff, fully cap, which means get 50% of the attacker's buff down to 50% with your debuff, that should be your priority, okay? So, and only on key things. So archer attack. And you kind of need siege attack now. A lot of people are saying siege HP, siege defense. But I'm seeing a lot of people not debuffing siege attack anymore. And I'm going to show you a little bit of proof about this. Who better to test your debuffs on than the greatest player of all time? So Neo Matrix hits me with archers and 3939. I ain't debuffing that. 1577. So my debuff seems to top out around 3200, just under, and that's pretty high. Like, I can add a few more stuff, but not too much. Like, maybe I could get it to like 3300, 3400. Not realistic for me to get it to 4000. So if I'm looking at archer attack, which is a prime debuff, most players, if you're new, you're going to be able to debuff players. But now at the end game, I'm always running into a player like this. And it's like, yeah, maybe I'm better off having different buffs, different debuffs, things like that aren't going to work. I'm actually going to max out. So this is his siege. Let's see how Neo the Great did there. 40-50 on attack. And my siege debuff was, so I'm maxing out at 1972. That is 3940. So I can't debuff people who have 4000 siege. So the way I look at this is I can debuff every person in the game who's not the greatest player in the game. Like, there's going to be like maybe 5 people who I can't debuff with siege attack. So I shouldn't waste my time planning on that, right? Like, I shouldn't waste resources trying to stop 5 people when I rarely play against them. So that's off the table. And then range attack for me, I'm not going to make up 700%. So, and I'm debuffing almost everybody else, but maybe not quite. Like, there are some players with about 3,400. Lots of players like me, like I attack with, I feel like 3,600, something like that. So there's players like me, I might have a chance to raise my debuff and get towards them. So archer attack is something I definitely need to think about. Mounted attack, ground attack, You're just not going to debuff those fully. So let's pretend I don't have a chance at raising my archer attack to a reasonable level. Then you should look at your in-city stuff. And the way I prioritize this is I want two-way buffs. So I want right here, it says number 3, enemy range troop and siege attack 10% and HP 20%. So I could do that. If you look at number 2 here, it says in-city range troop and siege defense, and then enemy range and siege HP when you're defending. So I want two-way stuff. So if it's 2 ways, I will prioritize that as number 2 after premium debuffs that are achievable, not unrealistic capping. So to clarify that, if I'm too far off the cap, I'm just going to do the in-city buffs. When I look at a guy like this, Skanderberg, for me to elevate him, obviously I'm not going to do it for hospital capacity and whatnot. But if you look at his number 4 and 5, they're only in-city. I'd rather do a premium general and get 2 ways. So let's look at how I would prioritize these. So first thing I would debuff here is key debuffs that are realistic to cap. So if you're close to the cap of what's attacking you, that's your priority. You want to debuff that. The next one is going to be 2-way premium duty officers. After that, do important debuffs that maybe you're far off the cap, but you have a long-term goal of improving. So let's say you're early on in the game and people are attacking you with 2,000 archer attack, and your debuff is like 750, well, yeah, let's start working on it. Let's start getting that up. Because you're pretty close to 2,000. And then non-premium one-way buffs. So last thing you're going to prioritize with Blood of Ares is going to be the non-premium duty officers. So what am I going to do this round? I'm looking at what's Ashoka have. I can grab some of him in that general chest I have. But in-city construction speed for the next one. And then the next one's, you know, it's really not that good. But I want him 10-starred. I don't want him 8 or 9, though. So he's not getting it. And then I have a choice between Stilchko and Nassau. And it's looking like... So... This guy, I could do enemy troop defense 15. Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing Marisa Nassau. And then I'd like to do Baldwin. I think that I could start to work on that range troop attack debuff. Been neglecting it a little bit. 3,200 isn't quite cutting it anymore. I have to get that higher. So enemy range and siege attack 10% and HP 20. I think I'll be doing that. And then I'm also going to look at... increasing Baldwin. I just don't think I have enough copies of him. I'm at maybe I got another fully non-fragmented version there, but I don't have 5. So I'm going to do Maurice of Nassau this time because he's a premium 2-way buff, and it actually is a debuff. So that is really beneficial to have on inside the city on duties. So anyways, here's how I prioritize. Let me know how you guys prioritize selecting between subordinate city and duty officers. It's always a really tough decision because it's really pretty to have the buffs in your city, but debuffs really, really help you out. So make sure to give it a long, hard thought before you make a decision on those. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.